So I'm going to have Liza Rodriguez from TAP come up to talk about the ins and outs of hiring a contractor. We all know it can be one of the most stressful things we do about rehabbing our projects, and it's usually a love-hate relationship, and we like it when it's a love kind of relationship. So Lisa's going to talk a little bit about how to find that one person that works with you. So
I can't work miracles.
Hello, Liza Rodriguez. I am a licensed architect with TAP Incorporated and Troy Architecture Project, I think we're calling ourselves now. For 35 years, I've been working on rehabs in the Capital District and some new construction, working a lot for not-for-profits, working in the urban environment. So I wanted to ask, I've met a couple of you, and I wanted to ask your backgrounds here for the people that are here attending. Where are you coming at it from? Are you going to buy a house? Are you investors?
My background's accounting, and I worked with architects, but I'm looking to get into affordable housing.
Okay, he wants to start some development. How about you, sir?
Purchased a place in Troy, just a 2-unit row house. And my brother-in-law's we're working on looking at some tax credits and doing the job.
Great. So those are kinds of projects we work on all the time. So I'll start with talking about that. When should you have an architect? Because sometimes you'll go to a builder and they'll say, but I can't do this without plans. You need something, some directions to follow. So certainly if you're planning to do anything that involves a structure, you should get an architect or an engineer involved. If it's something like a gut rehab, I would get an architect involved. Change of use, for sure, get an architect involved, get permits. So it's a lot easier to get into an agreement with a builder if you have some directions for him. So it's not uncommon, I think, when an individual hires a builder, they just walk them around the space, say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and ask for a price, and there's nothing in writing, and they give you one piece of paper. Okay, I'll do it for $25,000. Just sign here. So I'll say, please start out as much as possible, get what you want in writing and get what they're offering you in writing. You may not ever look at that piece of paper, but the day you walk in the building and you say, uh-oh, that's not what I was expecting. And you talk to the builder and they say, well, that's what was in my price. Well, if you didn't put anything in writing, then you have no leg to stand on. It's what you put in his price. So I suggest that you get as much as you can in writing before you enter into contract with the builder. Even if it's somebody reputable, who comes recommended, that's your only insurance, is that piece of paper. That's the contract. And a lot of times they'll do allowances for things like light fixtures. That's fine, that's good. So then you'll know what your budget is for your light fixtures or your appliances or your cabinets. We have a checklist. Oh, I should put that on the SharePoint, the website. I put some other things up, but I will bring it in. I have a checklist that I give to homeowners to help them think about all of the things that they have to think about when they're having a contractor come in. So what's the base going to be in your addition? Is it going to match the rest of the house, or is it going to be clamshell off the shelf at Home Depot? How many coats of paint? How many colors? Who's paying for the light fixtures? Is he going to tromp through your house to get to the addition, or are you going to make sure he comes in the back door, doesn't muck up the whole house with dirty boots? I have a whole checklist that helps people think about different things they can talk to a contractor about, and they could even attach it to the contract. It is geared towards single-family houses. But again, it's to help with that idea of get some things in writing with the builder. Don't leave it up to the builder to give you his one-page thing. That you have no way of knowing what he put in that price. Yeah, things like that. So, you know, it's in Word, so you can just delete anything that doesn't relate to you at all. But it'll say, what's the base gonna be? What are the cabinets? What's the countertop? What are you doing with the windows? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? There's so many things, you know, when you're renovating a house, that have to be thought about. And if you're doing it yourself, you just go over to Lowe's or Home Depot or Curtis, Bellevue, you say, I like this door. You pick that door and you bring it home. If it's a builder, okay, is it a hollow core door? Is it a wood door? Is it going to be stained? Is it going to be painted? All those decisions have to be made. Somebody's going to make them. So if you don't get it in writing, it could be the builder that makes it, and you may not get a say in the decision. It may not end up being what you wanted. Like, oh, I thought the doors would match my existing doors. Well, no, they did the cheapest thing. They bought the pre-finished molded panel door. Well, that's 6 panels and don't match your 4-panel wood doors. So, yep, it's more expensive to do a 4-panel door, but really that's what you wanted, so it would match seamlessly with your existing house. So put as much as you can in writing, you'll be happier. Like I said, you may not even look at that document, but if something is wrong, you will want to know what it says. So definitely get as much as you can in writing. And then there's this idea of payment. Paul, I think, mentioned it earlier. They're actually not allowed to request money in advance unless they put it in an escrow account. So, okay, how many of them really put it in an escrow account? I've never heard of that. I've been doing this for 35 years. So, we try as hard as we can not to give them any money in advance. As an architect, I'm in a better position to say that and do that because I'm usually using a funding source that won't pay until work is done. So the theory is that you don't pay for work until the work is done. So when the work is 50% done, they can get 50% of their payment. If they took some of their money up front, it's supposed to go in an escrow account. I don't see how that happens. So I really don't recommend giving any money up front. I've only heard of sob stories of how people lost money by giving contractors money up front. What I do tell homeowners, and it is getting hard because it's so hard to get a builder right now, especially right now. The market is so hot. It can take months to get a builder on site, and you're desperate to get your builder, and they're asking for money up front to hold the spot. So I know that there's a real temptation there to do it, to give them the money up front. And you might do that, but I hope not. What I try to do is work with the builder and say, okay, well, I can't give you any money up front, or I can't tell the client to give you money up front, but we can give you money the day you arrive on the job site. What expenses will you have by that day? Will you have applied for the permit? Will you have ordered something? Or do you have mobilization expenses? You've brought things over to the job site. You've come, you've measured, there's some things you've done that we can pay you for legitimately. And then in a week or two, we can pay you every week. It could be, so I think there are ways to work with a contractor to get the money if money is an issue for them without giving them money up front. So try to give them their first payment the day they show up on the job, and then you could give it to them. A well-funded contractor doesn't need payment more than once a month. They have money to work with. They don't need your money to go buy your materials. They have it, they can wait for the payment cycle. So you're going maybe with somebody who's smaller, who And they're cheaper, because they're smaller, they don't have so much overhead, they don't have all that money sitting in the bank to work with. And that's why your price is lower, so you're motivated to work with them. So you say, well, I can pay you the day you arrive, I can give you some money, and I can pay you once a week. I can pay you on Fridays for work that you did. Oh, you've ordered something, I can pay the place where you ordered it from. You ordered the cabinets, you ordered the windows, I can pay right to them. And so I think there's ways to accommodate that, especially for smaller contractors that are just starting out, and you want to be able to take advantage of the great price without handing them thousands of your dollars for them not doing your work. And then finding a contractor, really word of mouth is the best way to do it. Just talk to people. Historical Opening Foundation, I believe, still keeps a list on their website. Maybe Southland Improvement Corporation has a list on the website. Now, they're not telling you that these contractors are vetted, it's just a list of contractors. So when you talk to a contractor, you want to ask them for references, you want to call people that they've worked for. Depending on your project, you may want to ask if you can come to that person's site and look at the work to see what they've done. That's really the best way to know if a contractor is going to work for you, and talk to those people and find out what went well and what did not go well with this contractor. You know, you might find out, oh, they do great work, but they never show up when they say they're gonna work, and show up. So okay, the price is good though, so maybe you can put up with that, but you wanna know what you're getting into. I would say naturally finding the contractor's word of mouth is the best way to do it. And just networking, even if you called me and asked me for contractors, I can't even scratch the surface. There's so many out there, and the projects where I'm really involved in the construction are commercial projects. So I know more of the big guys, not the really big guys, but the medium big guys. And I don't know so much of these guys that have a crew of 5 that are going out to different houses to work. So it's looking around at who did projects, asking them, how did it work out? That's really my advice for finding a contractor. And then, let's see, Paul also mentioned insurance. Please make sure that they have insurance. If they get hurt on your property, if they don't have insurance, that's going to be on you. So any reputable contractor should have insurance. For some trades, they should have licenses. If you're working in Albany or Troy, you need a plumbing license to work there and an electrician's license to work there. So you definitely want, for certain trades, to make sure they have a license. Let's see. And for your final payment, so in projects, a lot of the projects I work on where government money is involved. It's funny because, you know, on small projects with homeowners, the homeowner pays a bunch of money up front, then some more when the contractor shows up, and then more when the contractor's halfway done. When the government is involved, they say, no, the contractor is going to buy a bond, so they're basically going to pay to do this project for us, and they're not going to get any money until, you know, what they've done, you know, they'll get progress payments. So 20% done, you'll get 20% of your bid. And we do ask them to, this is a good idea, to list out their price in a category that you can evaluate during the work. So if they say, okay, I'm 100% done with demo, you can look around. Yep, that's right. And there's the line demo. We owe you $4,000. I'm 50% done with windows. Okay, we'll give you 50% for windows. So on my projects, they get paid as they go along. But we keep out 10% from each payment and give that to them at the very end. At the very end, we go through and I open every door, lock every lock, run the water, shut the lights on and off. I test everything that I can test. And after I make this a list of, oh, wait a minute, that outlet in the hallway is working, the bathroom light, that has happened. Wait a minute, that tub is not plumbed, it's, the water's running into the wall, yes, that has happened. When you fix those things, then you can get the rest of your money. So there's a big discrepancy between what homeowners are expected to do and what the bigger guys will do when the government funds are involved and architect is involved. So the moral of that story is, don't give them the last payment until you run the water, open the windows, close the doors, check the locks, test everything you can think of to test, put a tester in, light in an outlet, anything you can think of to test it. And look back at your original scope. Before I go to a job site, I often, if it's sometimes I have to check projects that I'm not involved in construction, actually here in Albany. So Albany makes us come back. A lot of the drawings we do are just what we call basic building plans. And we'll just give enough information to show the code department that if they do these things, they're going to be code. They're going to put fire rated doors, they're going to put smoke detectors, fire rated walls, right outlets. And then the City of Albany says, but the architect's got to sign a letter saying that this meets the plans. So we'll come back after not having been there for the whole construction, and I'll look at my scope and I'll think, what's the thing that the contractor probably forgot? And we'll look and we'll go, and often, yes, they did forget. So it does help to have that final inspection, because even the client who paid them to do the work didn't know that they forgot that one thing. So it's good to go back to your original list and say, hey, but wait a minute, you're going to do this for me, and make sure that you get everything before they get that last payment. I want to mention one of my pet peeves is about masons. So, any masons. But I work with come across a lot of masons who say, I've been doing this for 30 years. I never heard of soft mortar. I don't know if any of you have heard of soft mortar, but if you're working or own a building that was built 100 years ago, it has soft mortar, and your mason should know what that is and how to make it and how to match it. So that's one of my pet peeves, is that a lot of masons who've been doing it for a long time don't know anything about soft mortar. What they don't know can ruin your building. On the website, I did put something about using soft mortar, and there's a photo there that shows you what can happen if they use the wrong mortar, and you'll see it all over the place. So if you have an older building and you're trying, you don't need a GC, you just need to get some masonry work done. Ask the mason, if your building is 100 years old, ask them, do you know about soft mortar? Do you know about line-rich mortar? And if they don't, and they're not willing to educate themselves about it, they're not the right mason for your building, because it can literally ruin your bricks. So soft mortar is line-rich. It is sacrificial to the bricks, so you want the bricks to last hundreds of years. The mortar you can fix every 30, 50 years. The bricks you don't want to have to replace. You want them to stay whole. The soft mortar will breathe, it will let moisture come, microscopic moisture, that is, not droplets of moisture, come in and out of the wall without damaging the brick, come through the mortar. Plus, it's very stable. The bricks and the mortar are very stable. When you look at these 100-plus-year-old buildings, do you see any expansion joints in those buildings? No, none. New buildings have to have expansion joints because the modern materials move a lot. So imagine if you start putting modern materials on an old building and they want to start moving. And now your old brick is staying firm and the mortar is moving and it's popping the face of your brick off. So they think, oh, I'm doing strong mortar. This is really good stuff. It's strong. Can't even scratch it with a key. Well, they may have just set you up to damage your brick from now on. And you can't even get the stuff out. It's so hard. So you think, oh, I better get it out of there. No, if you try and do that, now your really gotta go in the brick because it's so stuck to the brick that even trying to take it out, it takes pieces of the brick off. So try not to fall into that trap. And so don't go for that's really hard, it's good because it's hard, that's incorrect. The lime rich water, something to watch out for with lime rich, lime is white these days. It didn't always come in white. And so if you don't work hard to get it tinted to match your building, it will stick out like the sore thumb. The sand that they sell these days readily, that is practically white. So if you mix with white lime with practically white sand, you will get a very light mortar that doesn't match your building. It'll be soft enough, but if your building isn't painted, it's going to really stand out. So what we do is we ask the mason to make cookies, literally a mortar cookie about this big, of some different mixtures and colors, so we can approve it before they put it on the building. And so you let it cure, so it's dry, so you can see the final color. And then you look at them together and you mark the one you want. You say, this is the one I want, go with that. So that's my recommendation for hiring masons for historic buildings. Mike touched on, Mike Puma touched on the window, on historic windows. I'm in Mike's camp, and the fellow back there doing demonstrations is probably in Mike's camp. Fixing windows like this and putting a storm window on is almost as efficient as a brand new window. This window's lasted 100 years. It can last 100 more with some periodic maintenance. Brand new windows that have insulated glass are destined to fail and meant to be replaced every 20 to 30 years? No, it's a lot less 30 years, maybe 20 to 30 years. They are kept dry between the panes with a desiccant between the two panes of glass. So desiccant is like that stuff when you buy shoes and there's a little packet of powder there, they say don't do this. That is there to absorb any moisture that might be around during transit. So in between, in the edge of these thermal pane windows, there's some desiccant in there. And when that desiccant is full, the glass will fog over. Now, they're still fine, the windows are still fine. They aren't quite as efficient, but almost as efficient as without the fogging, but nobody likes that fogging in there. And when you go to sell your house, they say, well, I want you to replace all these windows because it's got all this fog in there. So that's my pitch for save the original windows. They add character to the building. The modern builder windows will not match this, the character, and they're very expensive. And they save you a little bit more money, but if you worked on the old windows, they could as well. And even what a lot of people don't even bother doing is lock the window. Some people don't think about that, but the lock mechanism is what draws the two sashes together and stops the wind from going between the two sashes. So keep it locked. If it's not open, lock. That's my pitch. I know it's tempting to put those new things. It seems so nice. Okay. I'm talking just about old buildings, but I was supposed to talk about hiring a general contractor. How am I doing on time? Oh, perfect, 2 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? No, I don't know if they can be accessed by the homeowner because they are a perk of our from our lobby group, I guess I would say. So I don't know that they're available to you. And And let me see, how are they, they're usually set up to have an architect involved in the process. So they list out the role of the owner, the builder, and the architect. And I should tell you that the architect during construction, when they prepare drawings for you, you're the client, you're right, they're doing work for you. Once you enter an agreement with a builder, they are more of a mediator. Their role has shifted. Yes, they're paying them, but when it comes to administering a contract, now they have to kind of put on a different hat and say, okay, the contractor has a question about this wording that I wrote here. Is it reasonable to interpret it the way they interpreted it? If it is, you can't just say, well, no, that's not what I wanted. You have to do this other thing. All they can do when they're trying to price a project is go by your words. So the words are important. And so the architect really turns into a mediator once there is a contractor involved in the relationship. And the owners don't like that. They just want the architect to fight for them like a rabbit dog. And you would want to do that, but then you hope that your words back that up, because it's really important, because it's a legal contract and your words really are forming a part of the contract with the builder. So we try to make them as clear as possible. But that's not easy in building, and then there's a lot of things you can't see, you can't predict what it's going to be once they open something up. But you try to make it fair. It's all about being fair. And I think that if you don't have that relationship with your builder, it's not going to be good. You want both parties to trust each other and to work together, especially if problems. Especially if problems come up. You want mutual respect, not somebody who's trying to find ways to get more money and somebody who's trying to get more than what they paid for. And we see both things happen, with builders and owners. So I don't think there is, but if you have an architect and they belong to the AIA, they can put them off. But there probably are some generic contracts put out by builders associations. You just have to watch out for them because they may be skewed to the benefit of the builder.
Is there a certain threshold where you would determine whether you need a GC or you just hire?
It's really your tolerance for and your time to coordinate those people. The GC will apply for the permit, they'll arrange for all the subs, they'll schedule them, they'll be there to let them in. If the plumber needs a hole, they'll cut the hole. The plumber doesn't cut the hole. Doesn't cut the hole in masonry. The GC does that. The electrician doesn't put a duct in, they just put the fan. The GC puts the duct in. So the GC is kind of the middle person that he's he or she is the organizer and the one that does all the in-between stuff that the individual trades don't do themselves. So if you have lots of time and if you're handy, then go ahead and GC. And but also one nice thing about a GC is they have relationships with builders. I mean, subs. So trying to renovate my basement bathroom right now. Got a GC involved. So he sent his electrician over, he sent his plumber over. I were trying to GC it myself. Oh, good luck right now getting an electrician or a plumber. But because they work for him regularly, they're going to come because they want to keep their relationship with him. So I highly recommend GCs, but it does cost money. But they're giving you a service. If you have the time and the skills to fill in all in between the subs, then yes, plenty of people do it that way. But if you have a full-time job and you're not handy, get a GC. Okay, so I think it's perfect timing for